And then so now I wanted to quickly go into audio. We haven't done a lot of work in audio, and maybe Keith will kill me for showing stuff. But I just kind of I like sharing this stuff because I think it's interesting. So let's just really quickly listen to the opening. So what we're doing right now is I'm just giving some of the audio guys some video and saying, so, and then I'm saying to them like, hey, let's just try to play with these videos. All pre-canned stuff. The animations aren't there yet and stuff like that. But just let's see what this thing is going to sound like. And from a sound perspective, one of the things that I'm really interested in. I've said this before, I think, is the possibility of not having a music soundtrack, or if we do have a music soundtrack, having it very subtle. Because again, I firmly believe that when you're working on a project, you need to put some stakes in the ground, and you can move those stakes around later on if it's not working or if you decide that your vision of the game is changing. But it's kind of like a blank canvas. Like if you have no direction, then people are going to flounder, right? Yourself included. But it's really hard to go to someone and say, "Hey, incredibly talented audio guy, make audio for my game and make it sound cool." Or, you know what? I don't know what it should sound like, so give me like 10 different samples of sounds. Like, that's kind of crazy. I think even if you're going in the wrong direction, if you say, all right, here's the direction we're going to go, and you just take off in that direction, and then you can always deviate from that, but at least everybody kind of has something to galvanize around. So that's one of the galvanizing things. And the other thing I was wondering if we could do it or not, and I'm not sure, um, uh, is. Uh, is if we can have these two layers of sound going on at once. One of them is the ship that you're currently in, because you are, in theory, sitting on a ship, typing in commands on your terminal. And then the other is the sounds you're hearing remotely through the drone's microphone, which should be muffled or pass through some filter that makes it sound tinny or just different. And then maybe a third layer that is the computer talking to you. So imagine, if you will, I'm sitting here doing this live stream, and maybe I'm over explaining, but there might be a sound from the room, like the fan or the dog barks or whatever. These are all sounds from my room. And then I might be on a Skype call, and so I can hear through the microphone someone talking to me. And then at the same time, there are computer sounds that I'm hearing, which is a ding from an instant message or a reminder from Google, whatever, that I'm late. So these are the layers of sound, and the key, I think, is making those distinctive enough that it doesn't confuse the person who's playing's brain. They understand what layer each of those are on, and it might be a little bit silly, but just like what we're doing with the visuals, where um, these very strong vector graphics represent the computer's vision of the world, and then whatever's lit here represent the actual video feed of the world. Same thing with the audio. So as you can hear, when this thing starts out, you hear this drumming, which is the ship that you're sitting in, and then you hear the drone start to move and the door open, which sounds remote through a microphone. The only thing that I might want to have, and I'm not sure if we need it, is that audio having some kind of, that microphone, that remote microphone, having some kind of consistent sound, like, popping or crackling or whatever, that you hear overlaid on top of the remote sound, so that you can, in your head as a player, say that is the remote space, and I know that sound came from there. And later on, if we achieve that, we can start to mess with people and make a sound, that might sound like it's coming from inside or something like that, and freak them out. But that might be cheesy. But anyway, so let's just listen to this again. So see if you can sort of hear. This is the drumming, and then that is the drone moving, but it's warbled and it sounds like it's coming through a microphone. And then that sounded remote, that opening. I don't know if the audio level is high on this on the recording. Let me know if you can hear it. Okay, so now see no audio, so this is a little bit broken. There should still be the drumming of the ship, but in theory, you should still hear the drumming of the ship. But when you jump out to the schematic view, suddenly you don't hear the drones moving anymore. because that's a sound that you would hear from the mic, and we've disconnected the mic. We could just drop down the audio on it or something like that, but I really like the fact that when you're switching around views, it's completely changing the audio, and it's, again, in my mind, that's underscoring the fact that you are isolated, that you are remote. You're not on this ship. You are not hearing the sound of Drone 1 because you are not on Drone 1's video feed. And I think that's jarring. I think switching around between the views will give people this kind of spatial, audio spatial thing that, like, they'll understand, oh, no matter what, when I switch, I hear the background noise of the ship, so that's my ship. And then when I switch, these are the sounds of the drone. So, and if you're doing Drone 1 and drone two goes by, you'll hear it a little bit more distant or something like that. That's the hope anyway. Um, yeah, it's quiet. Here, hold on. Let me turn up the volume. The volume on this is all the way up. I could turn up my computer volume. Um, Bing. Let's see if that's better. So again, you would still hear the sound when you got out. And then some of these sounds I'm not sure of. Some of them are very, I call them Logan Runs type sounds. But some of these crack me up. But yeah. And it's fun to play around with some of this stuff. One of my favorite things that's out of left field. Let me see if I can find it. Because you got to explore the space, right? You got to kind of have fun with it. So one of them, this is an earlier one. Hold on, let me see if I can find it. He had... I thought that was pretty cool. He threw in some rock music as if someone on that ship had left their stereo going or something like that, and in the future they still listen to guitar riffs and stuff like that. So I thought that was fun, and I think that's important. I think it's important that anyone on the team needs to kind of experience, to be able to play around and be creative and like come up with some interesting stuff. So yeah, so that's kind of where art and audio are sort of at.